Get this recording started. Hi, everybody. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to our webinar, What Every Project Manager Should Know About Microsoft Project. It is I, your old friend, Dale Howard. It is my privilege to be your presenter. I'm the Director of Education at Fragility, currently one of only 26 Microsoft Project MVPs in the entire world. That stands for Most Valuable Professional. One of only 4 here in the United States. Currently the co-author of 22 books on Microsoft Project, Project Online, and Project Server. I bold-paced 22 because we just published our latest book about Project Online and Project Server 2019. Go look for it in Amazon. Just search for Dale Howard under books, and you should find our new Fragility book. I've used every version of Microsoft Project going back to version 4.0 for Windows 95. That takes me back a few years. And I've used every version of Microsoft's PPM tool since it was introduced as Project Central back in the year 2000. I'm speaking to you live, but not in person, from my home office here in Ellisville, Missouri. I'm in a west suburb of St. Louis. Little bit about Fragility. We have Microsoft expertise. We are a gold PPM partner going clear back to 2006. We've done over 400 successful deployments of Project Server and Project Online. We are the publisher of the first book that covers both Project Online and Project Server 2019 for project managers. We have multiple locations around the country in Maryland, Florida, Texas, and in Southern California as well. So let's go ahead and dig right into the main content for today. And again, I want to encourage you that if you have a question, please type that in the chat window. I will be pausing multiple times to entertain questions. So what is it that I think every project ought to know about Microsoft Project? Well, I think first and foremost, we should all understand that Microsoft Project is a scheduling tool, and Microsoft Project uses calendars to schedule every task in your projects. At a minimum, we recommend that you add your company holidays to the standard calendar in every project that you manage. And I do want to warn you that if you do not add your company holidays to the standard calendar, that will create what I call an overly optimistic project schedule, and that makes it all the more likely to slip. So I want you to keep in mind that Microsoft Project uses 3 types of calendars to determine the correct schedule of every task. These calendars are the project calendar. That is what determines the initial schedule of every task before you assign resources. Then when you assign resources, the resource calendar of each assigned resource on a task determines the schedule of that task. And then finally, at any time, you can apply a task calendar as an override calendar so that it schedules the task with a unique schedule that is defined by that alternate calendar. So let's go ahead and do a little demo here, and then I'll follow up with our first Q&A session. So let me get to my Microsoft project schedule, and this is what I wanted you to all know. This is a project that is scheduled with no company holidays whatsoever on the standard calendar. And what I want you to notice is here on row 0, the project summary task, the current finish date of this project is currently calculated by Microsoft Project as July 15th, 2021. But now, what happens if we apply a calendar that does have company holidays on it? So I'm going to go to the project information dialog, and folks, right here, this calendar pick list is where you select the scheduling calendar or project calendar for your project. Notice it's currently set to standard, which doesn't have any company holidays, but I've created a special calendar called Federal Holidays that has every recognized federal holiday on it. And I want you to observe what happens when I click OK. Notice the current finish date is July 15th. When I click OK, boom, look at that. Now the new current finish date for the project is July the 21st. Do you see the schedule is now more accurate as a result of adding those company holidays and scheduling from that calendar? Now, let's do a little bit more with calendars to inspire your confidence. So let me go ahead and show you a little bit more. Now, this is the same project, but I've scheduled it correctly using that federal holidays calendar. I have a team member in my project. Her name is Amy McKay, and Amy wants to take some vacation during the week of March 15th to the 19th. So if you want to take the time and go to the bother of having an even more accurate schedule, you can add vacation time to people's calendars by clicking their name in the resource sheet view, going to change working time, then scrolling to the time period when that person is going to be on PTO or vacation. So Amy's going to be gone March 15th to the 19th. So I'll go ahead and just put this in as PTO. Bingo. See how it marks it? Those are now non-working time. I'll click OK. And again, OK. Now, when I go back to the Gantt chart view, look at this, ladies and gentlemen. The finish date of the project has now slipped to July the 28th of 2021. This again is a more accurate schedule because Amy McKay is working on a task that week that is on the critical path. So when she takes vacation, boom, the schedule will be readjusted accordingly. Now, because of this slippage, we've decided we're going to try to make up for some lost time. And this task, install LAN backbone, it's 10 days worth of work. What we're going to do, we're going to crack the whip and we're going into 7-day-a-week scheduling mode to make up for lost time. So what I'll do is I'll double click this task and go to the Advanced tab. On the advanced page of the dialog, there is a calendar pick list right here. Always think of this as the override calendar. Do you want to override the calendar at this point? Yep, we sure do. And I have a special calendar I created called 7x8 Work Week that schedules work 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. So I'll select that as our task calendar or override calendar. Also, whoever is assigned to this task, and I think it's our case, Russ Powell, he doesn't normally work Saturdays and Sundays, so we're going to have to ignore his resource calendar to accurately schedule the task. So that's what that checkbox means. It means ignore the resource calendar of the resources assigned to the task. So we're going 7 days a week, ignoring Russ Powell's calendar. When I click OK, boom, look at that. You see the task schedule changed. All the light blue here is the new task schedule for every task that's impacted. And look at there, now we're back to July the 21st, our original date before we put in the vacation for Amy McKay. So Jennifer, we are ready to take some questions. Do you want to check the chat and see if we have any questions?
Hey Dale, we do not have any questions at this time.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good. Well, folks, don't forget that you can add questions in the chat at any time. Okay, the second thing that we believe that every project manager ought to know about Microsoft Project is that every project should be properly defined at the very beginning. And although there are some multiple steps that I personally espouse, there are 3 steps I think that are very important. Number 1, setting the start date of the project, displaying the project summary task. That is super important. And then number 3, if you're not going to use the standard calendar, if you're using a custom calendar of your own creation, you'll need to specify that custom calendar as both the project calendar and the non-working time calendar of the project. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of demo. So let me get my next sample file open, and let's go ahead and we will open that isn't where I wanted to go. Sorry folks, I'm just getting all excited here. All right. And oh, I know what I wanted to do. I needed a new blank file. Duh, never mind, everybody. All right, so I've started a new blank project and I want to set it up correctly. So to correctly set up or define your project, here's what you need to do. Go to the project ribbon and click project information. In the upper left corner of the project information dialog, you'll see there's a start date, pick list button. This is where you can enter when you believe the first task will commence in your project. In my case, we're going to start January 4th of 2021. So I'll select that, click OK, bingo. Step 1 is done, nothing too extraordinary there. Step 2 is to display the project summary task. It goes by 2 nicknames, row 0 or task 0. To display the project summary task, go to the Format tab to display the Format ribbon, and then over in the right end in the Show Hide section, select the checkbox called Project Summary Task. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here is why the project summary task is so important and you should use it in every project. It is the highest level summary task in your project. It is at indent level 0, and it summarizes or rolls up all relevant information about the project into one single task. What the software does is it calculates the current duration of the entire project. It displays the current start date, the current calculated finish date. It also calculates the total amount of work, total amount of cost, and when your project has gone live and is in the execution stage, it will also constantly calculate all 5 types of variance as well. So I recommend strongly you should always use the project summary task in every project you manage. Now, that third step, which I said is optional only if you're not going to use the standard calendar. If you use the standard calendar, the step is already done for you. But in my project, what I want to do, I want to use the federal holidays calendar. So what I'll do is I'll go to the Project tab to display the project ribbon. I'll click Project Information, and over here where I see the calendar pick list, I'll choose Federal Holidays. Now, the Federal Holidays calendar, as I mentioned, has every federal holiday specified out in time for 5 years. When I set this calendar, this is known as the project calendar, and it is the scheduling calendar that controls the schedule of every task initially. So I'll click OK. What most people don't realize is there's another calendar you also have to select. It's called the non-working time calendar. Now, I want to show you something. Okay, Monday, January the 18th is a federal holiday. It's Martin Luther King Day. But look, I don't see a gray shaded band indicating that that is a company holiday. The reason is because I haven't set the second calendar called the non-working time calendar. And here's the easiest way to do it. Put your mouse pointer anywhere in a gray shaded band and do a double click. Bingo. This opens the time scale dialog with the non-working time tab selected. And ladies and gentlemen, look at here. See this calendar pick list button? See how it's still set to standard? If I click the pick list, there it is, federal holidays. And notice it even says, this is the official project calendar for the project. When you click OK, Microsoft Project will then display gray shaded bands for weekends and every company holiday in the calendar that you select. So even though the schedule would have been right, we couldn't have told that whether it was right or not unless we selected that calendar the second time. Now, I know that drives people a little bit crazy, but it's something that is unique to Microsoft Project from the very early days of its release. And Microsoft continues to make this what's called a grandfather clause feature. The software will always work the way it has in the past, and this is especially true. So if you need to pick a calendar other than standard, you do it first in the project information dialog, and then you need to do it again in the timescale dialog on the non-working time tab. All righty, so Jennifer, let's go ahead and let's see if we have any Q&A at this point.
We are still without questions.
Oh, okay. I thought something might have prompted questions so far, but folks, if you knew all this already, I want to give you a virtual pat on the back for knowing some of the things I'm about to show you. Well, let's go ahead and move on. What else would we want you to know about Microsoft Project? When you start the task planning process, we believe you should use a consistent task planning process that you repeat over and over and over again in every project that you manage. Here's some of the things that you should do in the task planning process. You should always build your work breakdown structure, or WBS, with summary tasks and subtasks. You should set task dependencies. This is really important. You need to apply task constraints and deadline dates on tasks wherever these are needed. You don't put them on every task, you only put them where they're needed. And then lastly, you'll also apply task calendars as an override to the schedule of any task if it is needed. Now, I said how important task dependencies is, so I want to take a look at that with you for just a couple minutes. So keep this in mind, my friends. In Microsoft Project, when you're doing dependency planning or task sequence planning, the software offers you 4 dependency types for every pair of tasks. These are finish to start, that's the default, but you also have the option to use, where needed, start to make 2 tasks start at the same time, finish to make 2 tasks finish at the same time, or the very unusual start to finish dependency to make the start date of a predecessor task drive the finish date of a successor task. So the software offers you 4 types of dependencies, but wait, there's more. You can also add lag time or lead time to any dependency as needed. So again, let's do some demo and then with a little Q&A at the end. So let me go ahead and open my dependency planning dialog. Now, let me do the easy stuff first. One of the things I recommend is if you have a block of tasks that are all in sequential, one after the other, you can just highlight the block and then link the tasks, and that'll give you a finish to start dependency. So let me go through this real quick. We'll go ahead and link these. Now, I'm going to do something special here. I need to link number 13 to number 15, but I don't want 14 included. So I'm going to use the control key to select them. Bingo. And then we'll link this last block as well. All right, nothing extraordinary. You've probably done that a million times. Now, let me show you, though, some other options. When we order our server, we know from our historical records that it generally takes about 8 working days before we receive the server so that we can set it up. So what I would like to do is I would like to add 8 days of lag to this dependency. So here's a trick for you. If you float your mouse pointer anywhere over the link line, the biggest part of the link line is the little arrowhead at the end. So if you put the tip of your mouse pointer in the arrowhead and you do a double click, ladies and gentlemen, ta-da, that is the task dependency dialog. Never in my career of 20 plus years with this software have I found any other way to make that dialog display. But here is where I can add 8 days of lag. And I'll click OK. Bingo, look at that. And if I float my mouse pointer anywhere over the link line, I can see in the little floating tooltip that that gap is because of 8 days of lag. Now, let me link task 6 to task number 8. One of the things that I recommend you never, ever do is to link summary tasks to anything. The reason for that is because linking summary tasks to anything else, other summaries or regular tasks, is the leading cause of circular reference errors in Microsoft Project. Circular reference errors are no fun in Microsoft Project because you have no tools like in Excel to help you to troubleshoot and resolve the problem. So avoid linking summaries. Well, here's what I need to show. When the installation phase is done, then we'll start testing. So the way I'll do the dependency is like this. I'll select number 6, hold down the control key, select number 8, let go of the control key, and link. Bingo. See how I avoided doing anything with the summary task at all. All right, a little bit more. Task number 2 and number 13 need to have a start to start dependency. They will both start at the same time. How do we set that dependency? Here's how. I'll select number 2, hold the control key, select number 13, let go of the control key, and then I'll link. Now, what I will do is the same trick I showed you before. I'll put the tip of my mouse pointer in the little arrowhead, double click. That takes me to the task dependency dialog. In this dialog, the beauty of this, ladies and gentlemen, is you have the option to choose any of the 4 types of dependencies. Also, you have the option to set lead time or lag time as you need to. So I'm going to pick start to start, click OK. If I float my mouse pointer anywhere over the link line, I can see the task dependency in the tooltip is set to start to start. So task dependency is part of that regular task planning process we recommend you do. So Jennifer, I'm going to call on you again. Let's see, do we have any questions in our chat window?
Hey, Dale, we still have no questions in our chat.
Okay. Okay. Well, fair enough. And again, ladies and gentlemen, let me just remind you, if a question does pop in your head, please just put it in the chat window, and then I want to make sure we answer your question. All right. So let's move on. What else do we believe that project managers ought to know about Microsoft Project? And here is a big one. We believe that when you assign resources to tasks in Microsoft Project Schedules, the task entry view is the most powerful method for assigning resources to tasks. The task entry view gives you full and complete control over every element of the scheduling engine. The task entry view is known as a combination view or split view. It includes the Gantt chart view in the top pane and the task form view in the bottom pane. So let's go ahead and take a look at how to use the task entry view. I think you will find this to be pretty interesting. Okay, so here is my project now completely planned at the conclusion of the task planning process. All dependencies have been set. I've got some constraints applied, a deadline date. I've got a task calendar applied. So we're ready now to begin the assignment planning process of assigning resources to tasks. To display the task entry view, there's actually two ways to do it. There's the slow way and the slightly faster way. Now, the slower way is to go to the View ribbon, and over in the Split View section of the View ribbon, there's a checkbox called Details. When you select that checkbox, that displays the task entry view. Gantt chart in the top pane, select a task, and in the task form pane in the bottom, you can assign resources. Now that's one way to do it, but you have to switch ribbons to be able to do it that way. So let me show you a little trick that I've used for years and years. All right, so I close the task form pane. Now watch this. Here's the trick. Place your mouse pointer anywhere in the white part of the Gantt chart pane and do a right mouse click. And when you right click on the shortcut menu, you have a choice called Show Split. And bingo, that takes you automatically to the task entry view, Gantt chart in the top pane, task form in the bottom pane. Now, what I'd like to do in this project is to assign some resources to the tasks that are in the testing phase of the project. So when I select task number 8 in the top pane, here in the bottom pane, I can now select one or more resources. I can put in their units value to specify whether they'll be working full-time or part-time on the task. And then I can either enter work, and the software will calculate the duration, or I can enter the duration and the software will calculate the work. We'll provide two of the three numbers, either units and work or units and duration, and the software will calculate the third number. All right, so let's go ahead and let's assign somebody to this task. So we're going to assign Dave Harbaugh. And Dave will be working only half-time because of commitments to another project. And Dave has given us a work estimate in hours. Dave said he believes he needs 48 hours of real burned work to complete work on this task. So in the bottom pane, I have a button called OK. And when I click the OK button, ladies and gentlemen, look at that. Microsoft Project calculated a duration of 12 days for this task. Notice also that the OK and cancel buttons have now changed to previous and next. And if I click the button called next, it takes me to the next task in the project schedule. I really like this. It just lets you work down through the project pretty quickly. All right, let's do a few more assignments so you can see fully how this works. On the next task, we're going to assign Mike Andrews. And Mike's also going to work half-time because he actually works half-time on the help desk. And the other half-time, he's available for project work. So we'll put Mike at 50% units, and Mike has given us his estimate of 40 hours. When I click the OK button, notice that Microsoft Project calculates the duration of the task as 10 days, as we expect. Somebody working half-time or only 4 hours a day, we would expect reasonably they would finish in 10 days. Nothing extraordinary there. We'll click the button called Next, and let's do one more task. I'm going to assign Bob Jared. And on this particular task, Bob is going to work full-time. And so we'll put in the units value of 100%, indicate full-time work averaging about 8 hours a day. And Bob has given us his work estimate of 40 hours. When I click the OK button, notice Microsoft Project calculates a duration of 5 days. So far, nothing very extraordinary. Now, let me show you a little bit more about how powerful this task entry view actually is. So let me go down to task number 21, provide end user training. I want you to notice that we have a duration estimate already entered of 10 days. That is the duration window. And we've put in 10 days because we were told that we will be providing end user training classes over a 10-day time span. So at this point, I need to assign the instructors. And there are 3. We're going to assign Chuck Kirkpatrick and Mickey Cobb and Ruth Andrews. We're sending out our A team, everybody. They're the best. And each of them will be working full time on this task. They're going to be in 3 different classrooms and 3 different buildings on our corporate campus. So they're working full time. Now we've got the duration estimate already entered. We put in the units. Microsoft Project must calculate the work. When I click OK, look at that, everybody. The software correctly calculates total work for each resource of 80 hours. 8 hours a day times 10 days each is 80 hours. So that's the task entry view. Jennifer, I'm going to take it back to you. Do we have any questions so far? Jennifer, can't hear you. Jennifer, turn on your microphone. Well, let me just look real quick myself at the chat. I'll see. Nope, I don't see any questions at this point. So folks, again, please do use the Zoom chat window, if you would, to ask your questions. All right, well, let's move on. What else do we think that people should know about Microsoft Project? And here is a very important one. You should always baseline your project before you go into the execution stage and go live. Now, why? The baseline is like the snapshot of the agreed upon project schedule immediately prior to going into the execution stage. Microsoft Project will use this baseline to calculate all variance in the project. Here's the bad news, ladies and gentlemen. Without a baseline, you cannot analyze variance in your project. Without a baseline, you'll never be able to analyze variance. And without that baseline, you cannot answer the question, is your project on schedule? At that point, it's just anybody's best guess. So when you save a baseline, keep this in mind, my friends. Microsoft Project will capture the following values for every task in your schedule. It'll capture the current duration, start date, finish date, total amount of work on that task, total amount of cost on that task. And in addition, it will also capture the time phased work and cost values for every task. Now, the time phased work and cost, you can see it in either the task usage view or the resource usage view. That's the only place you can see the time phasing. And by time phasing, I mean this. If a task is 5 days long, duration of 5 days, and the resource is working full time for all 5 days, the time phasing would be 8 hours each day, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. Bingo. So let's go ahead and take a look at baselines. So let me get another project open. And this one will be my baselines and tracking progress. Now, saving a baseline is very easy, but I'll tell you, it can scare the daylights out of a project manager because we know that when we baseline our schedule, we're going to be held accountable to that baseline. I've actually worked with 2 clients in my career, one recently and the other many years ago, that had their project managers using Microsoft Project for almost 4 years before they required the project managers to begin saving a baseline. 4 years of practice to try to get good with the tool before they mandated now you must baseline your project before you go live. So to save a baseline, it's pretty simple. Now, before we do the baseline, I want to show you where the data goes. So in the View ribbon, I'm going to click the Tables Pick List button and choose More Tables. There is a table called Baseline. And if I select that table and apply it, you can actually see those 5 fields that I told you Microsoft Project will save the baseline information into: duration, start, finish, work, cost. See, I didn't make that up, did I? So to save a baseline, here's how we do it. We go to the project ribbon, and in the schedule section, there's a set baseline pick list button, and we'll choose set baseline. In this dialog, in the set baseline dialog, leave all of the defaults in place. Set baseline in the set of fields called baseline for the entire project. Click OK, and bingo, there is all of the original baseline information. That is the agreed upon schedule and work and cost for this project. All right, so Jennifer, I'm going to take things back to you. Jennifer, do we have any questions in the chat window? Jennifer, be sure to turn on your microphone. Well, folks, I'll go ahead and look. May have lost Jennifer here. Joseph says, hi, I have a question. Joseph, please go ahead and type your question in. Excellent. This makes me all excited, everybody. Okay. Here we go. After saving the baseline, can we update the plan and resave a new baseline? Joseph, that is what most people assume they should do. But no, what you don't do, you don't save a new baseline. Let me show you what you do instead. All right. So just for fun here, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to insert a new task in this schedule, and I'm going to call it Create Training Module 04. And this is going to be a 5-day duration task. And we are going to assign Ruth Andrews to this task. And we estimate it's going to be 40 hours of work. And the duration is 5 days. Now, let me go ahead and link this task with dependencies. The extraneous dependency I'm going to remove here. There we go. Now, Joseph, here's what we have. We have a new task that has been added as a result of a change control process. Notice, oh, you know what I just did there? I see what I just did wrong. Okay, never mind, everybody. I accidentally typed in the baseline duration column. No wonder I didn't see what I was expecting. Okay, so Joseph, I've added a new task through a change control process. What do you do with the baseline? You select only the tasks that are new and or changed. So I'll select only task 18. I'll go to set baseline. I will leave the baseline set of fields selected. Now you're probably assuming you'd pick one of these other 10. You don't use any of those other 10 because the one called baseline, nicknamed baseline 0, is the one that Microsoft Project will always use to calculate variance. And it's the baseline that shows up in the tracking Gantt view. It doesn't use these other 10 to calculate variance. So you have to keep using the baseline set of fields. But what you do is you update it by choosing the selected tasks option. And then if you wanted to, you could also roll the new values up to their respective summary tasks. So I'm going to do that. Set the baseline in the baseline set of fields for only the new task, and I'm going to roll the values up to their respective summaries. When I click OK, I get a warning. The baseline has already been used. Are you sure you want to overwrite it? The answer is yes. I'm not overwriting it. I'm appending this additional baseline information. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Now that new task has been baselined so we could track and analyze variance against it. So let me go back to the chat window. Joseph says, fantastic. Thank you. Joseph, that was a terrific question, and I thank you for asking it. Okay, beautiful, everybody, beautiful. All right, so let me get back to my PowerPoint. Let's keep this show on the road. What else do we think that project managers need to know about Microsoft Project? Well, one of the things I learned a long time ago is there's a lot of project managers out there who will end up creating a project schedule, printing it out, putting it up on the wall, and then they never enter progress. Nope, you need to have some type of standardized process for manually entering task progress. And I do want you to know this, just entering a % complete value that alone is not enough information. I'll show you in just a moment why it is not enough. So a best practice methodology that we recommend, and it's actually in this new book that we just published on Project Online, is to do this: to enter actual start dates for each task, along with estimated percent complete, along with remaining duration, and when the task is finished, putting in the actual finish date. So that's the methodology: enter actual start dates, percent completes, remaining duration, and actual finish. And that gives you a very simple tracking method that is date sensitive. It'll give you a more accurate project schedule. So let me show you, everybody, how this works. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to change the table. And by the way, here's a trick to rapidly change tables. Up in the upper left corner of the Microsoft project schedule, just above the row 0 ID number, there's a blank button called Select All. And if you right click on Select All, you can switch to any other commonly used table. I'm going to pick the tracking table. Now, the tracking table has all the columns in it that you would want to use. They're just not in the correct order. So here's what I recommend you do. Bring up the tracking table, then click the percent complete column header one time to select it, let go, click and hold to grab the column, and drop it in between actual start and actual finish. Then go find the remaining duration column, click it once to select it, let go, click remaining duration, and drop it just to the right of percent complete. And then drag your split bar to the right edge of the actual finish column. Now, here we go. And this is where we would be ready to begin entering progress. If we're having meetings with our team members, say Monday morning project status meeting, we can clearly identify which tasks should have been worked on during the last 2-week tracking period. So we'll start with Mickey Cobb and we'll ask her, Mickey, did you work on the task order server? Mickey said, yes, I'm done, and I started and finished as scheduled. Now, in that case, we can put in 100% complete. But here's what I want to warn you about. If you only use percent complete, Microsoft Project will assume the task started as currently scheduled and it finished as currently scheduled. It has no way of knowing whether the task started early or started late or finished early or finished late. It has no way of knowing that at all. So you can see when I put in 100% complete, it put in the current start date as the actual start and the current finish date as the actual finish. Okay, then we will ask Mickey Cobb, on the task setup test training server, did you work on the task last week? Mickey Cobb says yes. And here's what she tells us. She said, I actually started on January the 4th. So we'll put in that actual start date. And then she said, I did finish, but I didn't finish until Friday the 8th due to interruptions. So we're going to put in 1/8 of 21. Now, see what happened, everybody? Microsoft Project extended the duration of that task by the 2 extra days. She had to work on it, and every task that is dependent, look, because these dependencies, they all slip by 2 days. Notice Microsoft Project did mark the task as done. Now let's do one more. We're actually in a 2-week planning windows with our team. So now we're going to ask Ruth Andrews. So Ruth Andrews, did you work on the task create training module 01 last week? And here's what Ruth tells us. Yes, I did all of the original work planned, but I think I still have 3 more days of work yet to be done. She said at the last minute, I was given additional content that needed to go into module 1. So I've got more writing work to do than originally planned. So here's how we would account for that. We ask Ruth, did you start on January the 11th as scheduled? She says yes. So I'm going to put that in. And she said, I did finish the work that was planned for last week. So we'll mark that as 100%. But here's the problem. See how the remaining duration dropped to 0. And now what we will say is, nope, she ain't done. She's got 3 more days of work left to be done. So we increase that remaining duration by 3 days. Now, Microsoft Project will indicate that the task is no longer completed at this point. It's now telling us it's 62.5% done, or rounded off to 63%. So this is one of many ways to manually enter progress. This is one I recommend that people use initially to get you started with manually entering progress. So let me get back to my PowerPoint and let's ask Jennifer. Jennifer, do we have any questions in the chat window at this point? Oh, Jennifer's back. She may have been called
I am
away.
back. Yeah, sorry about that.
Hmm?
I'm here. I got kicked out.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but that's okay. We do not have questions.
Okay. All right. Then let's go ahead and we'll do the final topic. What else do we believe you should know as a project manager about Microsoft Project? On a weekly basis, after you've entered task progress, we believe you should always reschedule incomplete work from the past into the current reporting period. Folks, the reason for this is very simple. If you do not reschedule incomplete work from the past, your schedule is wrong. That's all. Your schedule is just wrong. You see what the problem is? How can you manage a schedule if it's wrong? It's very difficult to manage a project when the schedule is not right. So let me show you the right way to do the rescheduling of incomplete work from the past. Okay, so we're going to pretend that today is Monday, February the 1st of 2021. And we are going to we've entered progress for work that was supposed to be done last week during the week of January the 24th. Now, the first thing I want to do is tell Microsoft Project the end of last week's reporting period, which I would consider to be this Friday right here, the last work day. So here's what we're going to do. There is a field called status date. Status date represents the last day of last week's reporting period. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to enter the status date as 1/29 of 21. Bingo. Now, I don't see anything on the screen that tells me that the status date is 1/29 of 21. I see it up here. See, I can see it. Yep. There it is. There it is that Friday. But I'd kind of like to see something on the screen to let me know that I've correctly set the status date. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me teach you a little trick here before we go. To display the status date as a grid line, in fact, I want a red dashed line so it really stands out. Here's how you do it. You go to the Format ribbon, click the Grid Lines Pick List button, and choose Grid Lines. In the Grid Lines dialog, scroll all the way to the bottom, and you'll see an item called Status Date. The reason you don't see a status date grid line is Microsoft never set it up to display it in your project. So here's what you do. You select status date, go to the type pick list, and I recommend you pick the last one. It looks like dash dot, but the truth is it'll show up as dash, 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 and it'll look really nice. And then the color, I'm a big fan of red because I want it to really stand out. When I click OK, look at that, everybody. See? You like? I hope you do. Now, to reschedule the uncompleted work from the past, we have two problems. This task right here, load and configure software, it didn't get done last week. See the blue stripe? That's the progress that was made, but it should come all the way up to the end of the Gantt bar. It didn't. So that means that Carmen didn't finish the work that we had planned last week. This part right here with no blue stripe, that needs to be rescheduled. And then this task, create training module 02, nothing was done because Ruth Andrews called in sick. She had influenza A, for heaven's sakes. She was out the entire week, never came in. Thank heaven she didn't expose us to the flu. So to reschedule the uncompleted work, here's what you should do every single week after you've entered progress. Again, here's the key. After you've entered progress, you go to the project ribbon, and in the status section, there's a button called Update Project. In the Update Project dialog, select the option Reschedule Uncompleted Work to Start After, and look, it fills in the status date for you automatically. Choose the entire project option and click OK. If you have constraints in your schedule, you'll always get a warning from the planning wizard that those constraints may prevent things from moving. You should always just click OK, and bingo. Here's what Microsoft Project just did. The portion of this task, load and configure software, that didn't get worked on last week, it's now scheduled for this week. And the task create training module 02, which was supposed to be worked on and finished last week, but nothing got done at all. The task in its entirety is moved into the current week. And ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we now have the current accurate schedule for this project. So let's get back and we'll ask Jennifer one more time. Jennifer, do we have any questions about that final topic?
Hey, Dale, no, we do not have any additional questions at this time.
Okay, then Jennifer, why don't you stay on the line and you can say thank you to everybody.
Great, Dale. Well, thank you for taking the time to walk us through project today. And everyone still with us this afternoon, thank you for joining us. And you can see my contact information on the screen. Please feel free to contact me. I will send you the recording of this for you to share with your colleagues. And enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.